Hello everyone and welcome back to Space Engineers, and today we are going to build ourselves our friend Tom. Now, for those who didn't see my preview for the Apex Survival update, I built a harvesting machine called Tom. This is him, and he has a brother named Frank. We're not going to really worry about building Frank because essentially Tom and Frank are the same machine, the same functionality, same design. The only difference is Frank's got a little extra bit, and I can show you how to set that up. But we're going to work on Tom today. So let's go ahead and get started. So first things, I'm going to go over here to my nice little small grid build pad. We're just going to build up a couple of blocks. And what I want to do is we need to build his feet. Now, I built his feet using the wheels kind of in a sideways orientation because it just seems kind of like what works best. Like with them straight up and down, they're a little bit smaller than the area to work with, so he has a tendency to turn. I can't do them in a normal wheel configuration because it's too wide, and I can't do the wheels facing the sides because, well, every time I've done that, he gets this weird bounce as he moves, and as adorable as that may seem, it isn't as predictable. With something like this, we need something predictable, and this is how I've gotten the most predictable results. So how I did this is I just laid down a base of some small batteries because Tom really doesn't utilize a lot of he doesn't utilize a lot of power in one go. I just figured small batteries would work, and I haven't been disappointed. So for the feet, I just use the off-grid wheels. No, the off-road wheels. And then we're going to come up here and set this in symmetry mode. So we'll hit M to select our... And then I'm going to need the off-road. I think those are 2x2 shorts. I don't know. Did I do... It's such a bit that I have to think of how I did that. Yeah. Just something like that, and then we'll come over here, the opposite. Now, when we actually get him set up, we're going to bring these wheels in. Did I get the right wheel? Yeah. And then from here, what I did, I took a gyroscope and just kind of lopped it down here. And the reason why I did that is I want a lot of my weight to kind of be centered towards the kind of drop down, just because I don't want him to roll. So we can see here I did about another layer of batteries, and we have the thruster fan. So it's going to kind of 1, 2, 3. Oh, I hate how these... Wait. I'm gonna make these... There we go. Perfect. And I'm not going to do the thrusters right now. What I do want to get is, if we look right here, he's got a... kind of one of those cargo junctions sitting on top, and how we want that to face is we're using small conveyors to connect to the back with these large conveyors out to the side. And then from here, we're going to go to our G menu, grab our collectors. Now, I have found for every kind of plot, you want to go about 2 small jumps. I don't know what to call these. Like, I know what they are. They are the conveyor frames, but you want the smaller of the conveyor frames. You're going to go 1, 2, then throw a collector down. And then if you're going to do a double row, you just do another 1, 2, and throw another one down. Now, you can kind of go as far out as you want with that. Obviously, they will hit a point where it is too much, but I think if you're doing like 4 plots, 2 on each side, this works just fine. You could probably get away with 3 on each side, maybe 4, but I wouldn't do much more than that. And then from here, if we go around back, we can see that I attached the connector on the bottom. And the reason why I connect it down here is because that if I put the large to small connector on a large grid, it lines up about right. We're going to go ahead and just do the small inset connector and throw that right there. Now we're going to take our thrusters. Helps if I can spell some thrusters. And I just like to grab the small flat thrusters. I'm going to put 1 on the front and 1 on the back. And this is how Frank moves back and forth. And honestly, if you want to keep things simple, that's pretty much all he is. Everything else, comes down to just timers and event controllers, which I threw up here with a silly face. We could throw down here. I'm pretty sure the 4 batteries on the bottom easily run this. But since that's not Tom, we want Tom. So if we look over here, I kind of stashed everything up here. So with that, and I did do things a little bit different. As if you can see, I did the small transition pieces. Really, it's not the way I'm doing it over here is I feel like more what I should have done. But now we can stick in some event controllers. We're just going to stick them in just kind of where we think we need them. And like I said, we can even come down here and just knock out edge ones. There's some 2 event controllers down there. And what we're going to do is I'm going to name 1 event controller forward. This event controller is going to be named backwards. And then, you know what? Honestly, I'm just going to stick the rest of the event controllers down here. I think that should be fine. Let's see. You are going to be connect. And how many event controllers did I actually end up using? Let's see. I have and so start park. So yes, I'll need 4. Backwards. There we go. Start. And then I need a couple of timer blocks. And these timer blocks are going to copy our forward-backward scheme. Or our, you know what? I'm going to make it simple. Start, and I think the other one I have is stop. No, I just have one for start. Okay. Whoa, you look at that. Oh, it's Frank that has the start and stop. Either way. So now we have all the kind of the logic that we need on Tom. We need some way to set it all up. So we're just going to grab a little guy here. Throw ourselves a little control panel, just somewhere where it's easy for us to access. And won't get in our way. And so we'll pop in here. We can take a look and see what we got. And how I'm going to set this up is with these off-road wheel suspensions. I want to turn off steering, propulsion, braking, parking braking. We're going to air shock, really, I feel like doesn't matter, but we're going to turn it off. And then I want to turn the height offset fairly low for now. And we'll be adjusting it once we get it in between our farms. So for now, we're just going to set it all the way in. And then I want to set the friction to 0. What this effectively does is it makes Tom here a little hover robot. I don't like the wheels clipping, so I'll probably just, I don't know, set them. You guys, okay, that's a lot better. And then we're gonna go to our thrusters here, and we need to name you my backwards thruster. And you my forward thruster. And so for our thrusters, we want to make sure for now that they're both turned off with maximum thruster override. And how I set Tom up is simply by and while we're here, let's go ahead and get the event controllers for his forward and backwards. So for event controller forward, we're going to go to we're going to have these off for now. So we want them in the off state when we're not using them. And so we'll start with forward. What we want these events set to is we want them set to grid speed change equal to greater, and we're going to start things with equal or greater than. We need to set it really low. I like to do maybe like 1 meter a second. We can adjust it up and down however we're comfortable. And then you're going to hit select actions. And then for going forward, when our speed is greater than 1 meter a second, we want to turn our backwards thruster on. And then when it's below that meter per second threshold, we're going to turn our forward thruster. Sorry. Hold it. Yeah, we want to turn our back one on and our forward one. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Speed is greater than 1 meter a second. Turn our forward thruster off and our forward thruster back on when it's below. Then for page 2, we want the opposite. We want to turn our backwards thruster on, and then when it's below, turn it off. And what this does, it should keep our grid about the same. Essentially, I'm making a cruise control for going forward and for going backwards. So that should work for that. And then so for backwards, when we're set for grid speed change, we're going to set the same threshold, 1 meter a second. Select actions, and for this one, we want our backwards thruster to turn on when we are not at that 1 meter, when we're below that 1 meter a second, and when we're above it, we want it to turn off. Backwards, backwards. And then we want our forward thruster to turn on when we are over 1 meter a second. When we're under 1 meter a second, we want it to turn off. Yep. All right. So now that should be the cruise control set for our event controllers. Our next one, it's going to be pretty simple. So for our start, I believe I had that one set up to handle a couple of things just for like the emotion controller. So it's not really necessary. So now we need to set up, now that we have gotten our cruise control set for our forwards and our backwards, let's go ahead and set our timer block right now, because that's going to be kind of our big starting one. This is going to be the one that gets Tom kind of moving. So set up actions. When we want Tom to move, we want a couple of things to happen. We first want him to unlock from his connector. And I always like to just turn off the connector when that happens. This way, if he takes a little bit longer to get moving, we're not running the risk of auto locking. And then I want our forward event controller to turn on along with our forward thruster. And that's it. Like, there's really not much to that. And then how do we get him to switch things to go back? Well, we're gonna need another block for that. And that block is our sensor block. Now we can kind of stick the sensor block wherever. We can sneak it in places. I literally just kind of threw it up on it, right there. I use the, I don't know, little automation center, just because again. And for the sensor, I like to sit here and a little easier to show. So we're gonna turn on sensor field range. and then show on HUD. So this right now is the sensor range for that sensor. We don't need it to be this big because what we need it to do is just detect a obstacle in front of us, mainly like a wall or something. So what I like to do is we're going to take our bottom, bring it up, all right, bring it in, our left, bring it in, top, backward, and we're going to kind of bring in our forward a little bit just so we can, this is where something like build vision really helps. So forward, I want it to stick out past the wheels. All right. So maybe like 1 to 1.5. And then depending on where your wall is for your farm, you may want to widen this like a little bit, not by a lot. And that's really all you need. And as long as there's a block right there, it will trigger. Well, not yet. Need to do a couple more things. So first we're going to turn off audible proximity alert. We don't want him detecting players. However, I do want him detecting stations. And then to set up the actions, we're going to have him his first action will be to turn off our forward event controller. If I can do this all in one. His second action will be to turn on the backwards event controller. Going to turn off the forward thruster. I'm going to turn on the backwards thruster. And then he's going to turn on our connector. And that should be all the things that he needs to do. Oh, and you know what? We're going to have him turn off the sensor. So, event controller, forward off, backwards on, thruster forward off, backwards on, connector on, sensor off. Another wonderful thing with build info, being able to see all these things. And now we're going to go to our event controller for connect. I'm going to set up a couple actions here. So when the connect is ready, it's going to first, we're going to set our event for connector ready, idle. And we're just going to select our small inset connector. Our actions are going to be, we want it to connect. So lock. 2, it's going to turn off the thrusters. Then it's going to turn off our event controllers. We're going to have it turn off the forward one as well. And that should be it. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and have I'm not too worried about Tom's batteries, but you could have it during his start function. Um, his start function, turn his batteries from charge to auto and the event controller for connecting to sit here and switch batteries to charge mode. So that's something you can add to it to maybe protect the batteries. But that is essentially all there is in a nutshell. Now, all we need to do is test. And so to test, we're going to build like a little mock area. By little mock, I think we're just going to sit here and throw some farm plots down. Five, 6, 7, 8, 10. And I'm not going to throw down the other ones. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is we're going to, and I'll throw a wall up here. This is going to be the wall he is going to be detecting. As we are going to trigger start. Tell it should work because, yep, we can see the thruster kicking in right now. All right, so while that is working, we're going to throw our connector. Oh, it's a connector. And if we look right here, bam, reverses. And bam, they're now on. So now that we know that he's essentially going to do what he does, we're going to make a couple of changes. First things first, I'm going to turn off his connector. Oh, he's just in zombie mode right now. We're going to pop over here, and what I want to do is take his wheels, and now we're going to just not get smashed by him. I need to turn my game by background. Let's turn that a little bit more clear. Bam. Now that he's a little bit back from that, we're going to just go and trigger his start. And we'll go ahead and turn this guy back on. And he connects. And I think I need to add a battery down here. Why my farm plots aren't lit up when he's disconnected. And now we get to have the fun bits. We can sit here, you know, because you know, now we can decorate. I can throw up a couple of blocks here. Look up our text panels. Come on. See if I can find a nice little 3x3. Get our emotion controller. And then I also did a media. I know he has the speakers on his thing, but it just get more consistent results with an actual media player. And with our event controller, no, now think about it. I can't remember why I have an event controller start. Well, so at this time, I guess I can use the event controller start to show you what we're doing next. Or at least how to trigger when these plots fill up. So to do that, go to your event controller start, cargo fill. We're set our threshold super low. Like fraction of a percent. And we want to target these collectors. And then when any of those trigger, we are going to trigger our start block. As a matter of fact, we're not going to trigger it. We're going to start it. And then what I want to do for my start block, this way, if it triggers on one of these outside things, it gives us time to kind of get it all set up. We're going to set it, so, you know what? I think 10 seconds is fine. So 10 seconds after the first plot fills up and it collects it, it will trigger the start of Tom, and Tom will now collect things without any input from me. And then sit here and with his emotion controller, we'll just sit here and make him. We'll just sit here, and since he's connected, add him as sleepy. And then we're going to set the LCD as his main panel. And we're going to back to our start for his timer block. Back to setup actions. We want media player to play. And we want our emotion controller to switch to happy. Tom loves what he's doing. And then on his connector, I'll set up a couple more actions. I'm going to switch our event controller back to sleepy. And we're going to make sure that media player is stopped. All right. So we got pretty much everything. Well, let me double check. I had to reload, so go to our start, set up actions, that. All right. So something I forgot to do that I'm going to do now. I need to make sure my sensor turns back on when the program starts, because the reason for the restart is I forgot to, and it crashed into the wall because I tried tweaking it mid while he was doing things. But that is now fixed. And now we're going to trigger him now. He's just going to happily do his job. Detector wall's there. He's going to now move backwards. And he is now locked and connected. Uh-oh. I think I didn't set his. So let's go back to our event controller connect. No, I want to make sure his media player stops. And his emotion controller is going to turn back to sleepy. And now, I think for if you want to do the media player, you're going to want to come over here, find your sound. In this case, for Tom, I did the fun music. Add to selection. I like to set the range up a little bit this way. I know when he's active, but not the volume at 100%. Especially for the fun music, because it can be quite loud. And that should be set up so now whenever he starts, he cranks the music, he turns his... Can I switch it on? No. Switch him back. And that's it. That's Tom. Obviously without his fancy overalls and decorations, but from here you decorate him however you want. And now that we've gotten all that done, Tom is essentially done besides just decorating. And you can decorate him however you like, and you don't even necessarily have to go with this configuration. I mean, at this point, the only difference between Tom and Frank is Frank just sits on an overhead rail with a couple wheels set up as just, nope, the exact same thing. They're just frictionless wheels that just slide along that rail. Go ahead and let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? Like, is this something that you might include in your own farms? Is this just something cool? Or if you learned something, let me know what you're going to do with it. I want to know if the knowledge I give to you is going to be used for good or evil. We have now reached the point of the video where we're done. Like, if you don't want to listen to me ramble on, you can switch off, do whatever you want. But I do want to sit here and say, before I leave and do my outro, I want to especially thank Keen Software House. Again, thank you guys. Working and doing and testing everything for the Apex Survival preview was amazing, and I had a blast. And then watching my stuff on the stream was absolutely like panic attack inducing in a good way. But again, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity. We're now over 1,000 subscribers. Like, we done did it. We're now officially full YouTube partner. As a matter of fact, we're hitting well over 1,050 right now. So I want to thank each and every single one of you guys. I would not be here if it wasn't for you guys. So yeah. With that being said, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like. If you liked me, go ahead. I still very much appreciate the subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, snide remarks, constructive criticism, go ahead and leave them down in the comments down below. I try to answer a lot of them, but sometimes I get a little overwhelmed. But until next time, guys, have a great rest of your day.